All right, so round two of, I guess this is technically round 1.5 of my exhaust, GT3 exhaust crusade here. So I'll explain this as I'm de-installing it. I figured I'd just make a video and sort of explain to you what my thoughts are. As I'm making this, that I've uploaded, I took the car out. Rhonda from FVD asked me to make a video because it's still a very viable exhaust. I mean, this exhaust really does sound great. I just want something a little more aggressive. So I did the experiment with the side muffler replacement. So take the factory side mufflers, replace it, delete the valves, and then do just a traditional sort of bypass center section. It sounds great. I would call it more of a sport system than a sort of, I want kind of that hybrid race sound. I want it to sound a little bit more aggressive. So I'm going to take this exhaust off today. It's probably going to be pretty hot, so I'm going to take my time. I'm going to take the rear bumper off this time, so it's a lot easier. I don't have the replacement exhaust yet, so I'm going to send this back to FVD. They've actually ordered the new muffler. What I'm doing is a M&M center muffler and then side muffler delete. So that'll save the most weight. It's probably what I should have tried in the first place. But I already had the SharkWorks bypass, so I figured why not try to improve the sound by replacing the side muffler. So I'm going to try to get a little bit better video this time of the process of taking the rear bumper off. The other thing I did is I ordered new, since I'm going to have the bumper off, I ordered new BMC filters. Well, you may figure why not? Just put some replacement filters in since I'm going to have the bumper off. And so I'm going to take you through that process here of taking the bumper off, hopefully explain that a little better this time, now that I'm not as amped up to get the exhaust on and see what it sounds like. I'm going to sort of take you through that step by step. So stay tuned here and let's get this done. I'm going to switch around the camera angle here, but first thing I'm going to do, obviously open up the rear deck. The paint, man, this Colonite 845 on the paint looks fantastic. So that combination of Menzerna Power Lock, I mean, you can see the shine in the videos. I mean, it's the depth and clarity you get. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's still pretty hot back here. I just took it out to make an exhaust video. So first step is take the headlights out. So I'm going to take the bumper off, let it cool, and then I'll probably take my time and knock this out. So the first part we need is to take the rear tail lights out. And these are a T25. It's got a little 1/4-inch drive. 2 bolts are right here on top. This theoretically should take me a lot less time now that I know how to do this. And again, the reason I'm taking this off is I'm shipping back the side mufflers. FVD was cordial enough to, Rhonda was nice enough to talk to Mr. Brombacher and get my, sort of get this core exchange, so exchange the side mufflers and center bypass for a center muffler. So let's hope this isn't a screw up. Let's hope that I prefer the nastier, or let's hope that the new version is going to be what I want. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you're looking for a sport exhaust, I think this really does improve. And if you don't like the valving, if the valve system annoys you on the 991 with it opening and closing all the time, then this is a pretty viable alternative. Again, I just want it to be a little bit nastier, a little louder. So now I need a T30. I'm not even going to jack the car up this time. I'm just going to leave it on the ground. And I'm not going to put it back together, so. So you got 4 T30 Torx nuts up top here to remove. By the way, I was all sad because I forgot to re-hook up the license plate bracket, or the license plate lights. Turned out all I had to do was remove the rear tail light and it came right off. Or when I removed the tail light, I was able to plug it right in right there. I didn't have to remove the whole bumper again. But this time I won't make that mistake. At least I tell myself that. Need to actually polish this carbon fiber rear deck cover. It's got some swirl or some scratches in it from the factory or from who knows what. All right, so we got that removed. I may still have to jack the car up to get, I don't know, we'll see, to get these other connections here. So let me show you what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. So there's four Torx nuts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I just removed these two T25 Torx. I just remove those. So now with the headlight, all I do is pull it out. You can flip it over. Just release that tab. You can do it with your fingernail and pull, so it comes right off. Just a Molex. I'm sure these are expensive, so and you don't want to scratch the bumper, so take special care. If I were you. And there's like there's a little, a little connection point here, so you just need to lift out, take the light, turn it out, and then pull straight out. It's not snapped in there or anything. It's really easy to get out. So I got the tail lights out, got the 4 bolts removed. While I'm here, I'm actually going to pull out there's a Molex plug right here for the rear license plate lights. All right, so next step is I've got to get the bolts, not bolts, but I've got to remove these these bolts or nuts or screws or whatever the heck you want to call them from up underneath the wheel well here. So there's, if I remember correctly, there's one here, and one here. So let me get a little shorter extension. And I'm going to find out if you can do this. I'm pretty sure you can do this without jacking up the car, but we're about to find out. So this one here looks like I need an extension. Small extension, a little 3-inch extension. Yeah, that's not going to work. I suspect this is going to be the trickiest part. I'm trying to get this off without. There we go. It's not as if these are super tight. They don't really need to be. It's really amazing how easy this is. It's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. To remove the rear bumper. I thought it was going to be really hard for some reason. I've just taken off bumper covers before and they never go back on the same. It just doesn't quite work the way you intended. This one might be a little tricky to get to. All right, so let me get a 10 mil. I think it's 10. Might be 9, or maybe it's 11, or 10, I don't know. Let's see. So I'm going to get a long extension. There's a bolt all the way back in the wheel well. So I was able to get those out without jacking the car up. Yeah, it's a 10 mil. Okay, that's off. Now we've got, I believe, 3 T30s down here. One. Two. There's one more over here, center, right next to the tips. And then one last one up here. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of these little black Torx screws, and then there's one 10 millimeter bolt. I didn't get that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 of these, and then one bolt. So I'm going to remove the other side. I don't think you guys need to see the redundancy of that, but that's what we need to get the cover off. Okay, so the bumper cover's ready to remove. And actually, I was mistaken. The 10 millimeter bolts, you don't need to take those off until you get the cover off. What I'm going to do first, I took the car out to do the exhaust video, so I'm going to do a quick waterless wash here for the bumper, because I'm going to waterless wash the car just to wipe it down. I don't do waterless washes very often unless it's unless I'm traveling, or if did something today like where it's really nice outside and I just drove down the block. So with the waterless wash, you want to spray down the area. And be careful, because that's how you can scratch the paint. So I got these new towels that I just got from Microfiber Tech. One side's gray, one side's blue, so I remember which side I used. I'm just going to wipe the thing down so you can see all this dirt. So I want to do like an initial wipe, sort of changing sections of the towel, just getting this thing cleaned off, getting the dust off, flip the towel off. And so if you're going to do this, you can't buff out the paint. You just have to sort of wipe the dirt off first. So it takes quite a few towels if you're going to do the whole car. Okay, so I got the bulk of the dirt off. Still have a couple of sections of the towel. I'm gonna spray it down in sections now and just finish the wash. This is, I think, a 700 GSM, grams per square meter towel. So that one's done. Need another one. Yeah, these are going to be great towels for this application. So if you do it like this, you notice I'm never pressing on the paint. Comes out nice and clean, nice and shiny. Doesn't have a residue. So I'm sort of doing this in 2 steps. First step is get the bulk of the dirt off. Second step is just kind of get the rest of it, shine it up. But let the towel do the work. Don't apply too much. You don't need to apply pressure. There's no reason to. You're not trying to buff out the paint. You're just trying to get the dirt off in between washes. So anytime I drive the car, I traditionally don't do like a detail spray wipe down. I would do I guess waterless wash and detail spray aren't all that different. So there we go, bumper's clean. A little bug there or something. Good. Still not as clean as it would be if I had washed the car, but acceptable. Just from a dusty trip in the car, it's a quick way to get it cleaned off. All right, let me see what the camera is. And let's pull the bumper cover off. So reach on the side here, pop that off, reach on the other side, pop it off. The bumper's loose. Pop it off the bottom. And we're off. So now, I'm gonna just set this on the side here. Actually, I'm going to put it in front of on the side of the car. Careful not to scratch the bumper or my car. So here is this is where the air intake is, or the air filters. I'll remove these. First, I got to take the bumper off. I mean, you don't have to do, the only thing you have to do to get to these is take the cover off. So I guess this could be a air filter cleaner change. So that's, if I was cruising, it would take me what, 15 minutes if I wasn't making a video to get the bumper off the car, bumper cover off the car. Not too bad. Okay. So now what we need to do is you need to remove the actual bumper. I'm sure you guys can see that. I hope you can see that. Let me back this up so you can see what I'm doing here. This is how I normally do installs. I try not to make a huge mess. Okay, so this one here, I think is a 13 mil. Let's see if I guessed right. There's 3 13 mil bolts. Yep. These are like a self-tapping 10 millimeter, 13 millimeter bolt. There's two, we'll leave that one on there. Let's take this side off. Reposition so maybe you guys can see what the heck I'm doing a little better. Try to stay out of the way. This was the plug for the rear license plate light. These are the plugs for the tail lights. Yeah. So you also have to remove these. There's a couple of T30s. Whatever the heck I did with the T30. Something with it. Oh, here it is. This connects the side heat shielding to the center. The rear heat shielding, because the heat shielding is actually attached to the bumper, to the aluminum bumper. All right. And this is aluminum, so it's not super heavy. It comes off easily. So for all you guys think that I just sit in the garage and detail, occasionally I'll do some real man work. So now you can see the exhaust. Wow, it actually turned a pretty awesome shade of like copper. It's T316. All right, so now I have to remove these. 1, 2, let me show you from this side. In order to get the side mufflers out. Zoom out here. So there are 1, 2, 3, and then that one in the back, 4 of these 10 millimeter 10 mil here. A little. You guys are watching me, waiting for me to hit the bumper. I know it. You guys just sit here and watch for mistakes. I'll make way more than my fair share. Difference is I've already taken this off, and it was like a week ago, so I remember exactly how to do this. It looks super scary, but I promise you it's not. And then I've got this one T30. Where is it? Over here. Go and go. So I'm going to do the same thing the other side, and then we got all the parts off that we need. Wow, that changed an awesome color. Almost looks like titanium, T316. That's cool. So here's the exposed exhaust. You can see that the outlet, oh, I see a little better on this side, the outlet, the exit from the cat, turned the T316 steel, stainless steel, into almost looks like titanium, a purplish color. And then the mufflers are starting to change to a nice gold as well. You can see the rest of the exit piping changing color. I only put maybe 50 miles on it. Pretty cool. All the connections look good. So, you know, it's certainly a viable exhaust if you're looking for a sport. I wouldn't say it's droneless, but an exhaust with minimal drone, very little. I mean, if you're sensitive to that, you're certainly losing quite a bit of weight. I need to measure the weight of the side mufflers to see how much weight. But this is really awesome. I mean, everything's on here solid, steady. Looks great, feels great. I just want it to be more aggressive. So the clear option for me, I think, is going to be to do the center muffler and just the direct connection to the center muffler from the cats. So let me explain this to you if you haven't watched the other video. So we have the headers. The headers are up underneath here. Header comes out to the cat, so the cat's on the bottom here. Cat then connects to, on the factory system, the cat connects to the muffler, to the side muffler. And there are two choices. So if the valves are open, actually the side muffler valve, with the valves over here are open, then the exhaust gas basically goes straight out. So on the factory, there's a big muffler here. So even with the valves open, it still muffles the sound quite a bit. But sounds great, especially at wide open throttle. When the valves are closed, what happens is the exhaust gas has to come up through the muffler. So there's still some gas coming through the muffler no matter what, even with the valves open. So it does help to dampen some of the drone and resonance and stuff like that. So when you do the SharkWorks center bypass, you're deleting the third muffler. So you basically have a straight exit, straight path. So this section, this system actually is a little bit quieter, actually noticeably quieter than the bypassed bypassed factory side mufflers, because the factory side mufflers, I showed you this before in the other video, the factory side muffler, look, I mean, you have this direct connection, boom, versus routing through. That seems so inefficient. It's still, you know, this chamber's still open. So, I don't know if you can see that. Oops, I'm sorry. So, this chamber here, you know, this is a factory muffler. It goes on like this. So you got the two separate exits with the valve system, right? So when the valve is open, it allows this, so the valve is right here. So basically the valve is closed, it just goes and hits that wall and then has to come up this way. Has to come through the entire exhaust system, has to be baffled. It's amazing though, I don't think you can actually see in here. But this is not, this pipe here isn't really even connected, there's a gap. So it allows gas to go in through the mufflers and then eventually come out this, you know, so the exhaust is sort of bouncing around inside this baffled chamber and then comes out. You can't actually see what it looks like in there. But there isn't like a direct path in any of these exits. So it's super inefficient. Although, you know, the car makes plenty of power and I doubt we're getting much more out of it. So the big difference here is I'm coming into the muffler no matter what. It's going into the muffler, coming down through, and then back out. So part of the reason why it's a little quieter, even without having the valves, is no matter what, I'm going directly through. There's no bypassed section. There's no muffler bypassed section, so it's going through the muffler. So what I'm going to do is we're going to basically ditch this whole side piece and come straight into a center muffler instead. So that should hopefully make sense. And then the tips, these are SharkWorks tips. The tips are going to be actually FED tips, tips aren't really my thing. Some people get real bent out of shape about tips, but I don't really care. As long as they don't look stupid and big and stick out, then I'm fine with it. So I'm going to have a SharkWorks center section. I'm sending this back to FED. So if you want this, call them. The video should be uploading right now of what it sounds like. I mean, you're probably going to be, I don't know, $3,000, something like that for this. But it's a pretty sweet looking setup. I mean, it looks legit. It sounds legit. I just, again, want it to be a little bit more aggressive. It's pretty cool. Versus this goofy looking factory piece. Instead, you have this. Doesn't look like much, but it is well crafted, handcrafted. You can tell somebody made that on a bench by hand. It's awesome. That kind of stuff appeals to me. So now I'm going to take this off, clean it up, wrap it up, send it back. So I'll take you through some of that process. Okay, I'm going to start by removing the tips. I don't know, some of this stuff won't really apply to what you guys are doing, but so you got, I believe these are 13 mil. Sure is a lot easier to mess around here with the bumper off. I'm not gonna lie, to many people this would be frustrating to put an exhaust on, take it off. To me, it's kind of fun. It gives me something to do. I knew I would be trying to take this off today, so I double timed it at the office last couple of days. Got every call on my clients that I needed to call, and did some portfolio analysis that in preparation for Monday I have to make a change, I think, to the main portfolio for clients. So made some calls on that. And so the tips are off. I really do like this floor. As much as I used to hate plastic flooring, it's pretty cool. It works really well. All right, I think these were 13 mil too. Yep. Certainly is nice. I'm working on my M3, you gotta get all the way up under it, and I don't have a lift, so it certainly is nice just sitting here on my butt rather than climbing up underneath the car. Yeah, I love the color this thing turned. I mean, you can't see it, so who really cares, but when it's on the car, but I know it's there. Get this thing off of here. Righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? I won't let this beat me. Probably a lot easier with a socket. Yeah. Makes a big difference having the right tools and trying to be too lazy to stand up and get it. So anyway, I was saying that, you know, this would normally drive people crazy doing this kind of stuff. I actually called FED and said, hey, I know you guys haven't done a lot of research on the 991. Can I, you know, I'm willing to pay for this stuff. Can I be your guinea pig? As long as you're willing to help me think through this. And I thought this was going to be what I wanted, but I don't want to have to try multiple things, but they've been real gracious to involve me in the process. I'm trying to figure out what these systems sound like. So that's the clamp, one of the clamps that holds on the rear bypass. So this bypass is different from, say, the SharkWorks. You can do this setup with the SharkWorks, GMG, FED. You can do it with all the other sort of bypasses. So if you already have one, like I did, you don't have to have this section. You can buy the side mufflers and then just cap off the bypass that you already have, but I wanted it to look complete, finished. I would guess that cap, you know, really probably doesn't do much to the sound. But the tone, the note on this changes, and it really does sound great. It's just quieter than I want, you know. But there's a definite improvement on the way this particular option makes the exhaust sound. Sounds good. So if you're a more subdued person and would like to improve the sort of the tone or the note of the factory exhaust, you know, I would recommend giving this a shot. And it's really not all that expensive. I mean, you're somewhere, you know, in the $3,000 range, which normally with the Porsche Premium, you're going to pay a lot more than that for the kind of quality that this thing is. Now, keep in mind, this is not, oops, I don't want to take that all the way off. This is not like super clean and polished. I mean, it's very raw looking, which I appreciate. Looks like somebody made it on a bench, like I said earlier. I'm hoping that if I clean this up and send it in nice and clean, maybe they'll like me a little bit more at FVD. I realize, because I plan on being, well, I hope to be fortunate enough to be a 911 owner for as long as I'm alive from here on out. So, I figure if I treat everybody else right, they'll give me some access that I otherwise wouldn't be able to get. Okay, that's off, so I'm gonna be able to pull this whole rear section right off. And then because I'm doing I'm gonna do the BMC filters, I'm just gonna leave the bumper off. It'll be easier to put the new section on as well. Maybe a little harder to line up, but well, at least we know this thing wasn't coming off. That's awesome. Once you clamp that sucker on there, it's not coming off. There we go. I mean, this thing's super light. Okay. So there's your center section. It's actually 3 pieces. So I'll work on getting this off, which is probably not going to like very much once you clamp it down. So I'll have to work that out without getting it all scratched up. But let's get this side muffler off. Keep this out of the way. The side muffler has essentially, this is a hex bolt, hex nut, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a, it's a 6 mil. I can grab both of these just to be safe. So this is the clamp for the cat to the muffler. I think you're probably supposed to replace these, I'm not sure, after every install, but they're like $100 and something, so I'm just winging it and using them again. Okay, that's off, and then I got two 13 millimeter bolts here on this bracket. I'm going to take this bracket off too because I won't need this bracket anymore. A little harder to see since I don't have the car jacked up, but still very accessible. Oops. What the heck am I doing here? I was doing it the right way. doing it the wrong way. You'd think I know how to untighten the bolt by now, but apparently I don't. And there's one up top here that you got to use a little smaller. Everything on this car is so smartly designed, like it's just awesome. You know, it's just made for convenience, it seems. So you can take it apart. Go. Yeah. I'm gonna go get the scale and measure this. Okay, let's see here. So the side muffler is 15.2 pounds. So let's take that off. So this is the FED version. Now let's take the equivalent factory. See if I can make this fit. Let's see here. Lay this down a little differently. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see, but it's 22. Just so you know, I'm not lying. There goes 22. So that's 7 pounds. So I'm going to be deleting. We'll figure out when I. So that's 22, and it's just 7 pounds each side. So there's 14 pounds. So this current one deleted 14 pounds. I forget what the center muffler weighs, but let's just put this center section on here and see what this weighs. Probably not very much. That's 12.4. Just for future reference. So I know when I weigh the new center muffler, we'll see how much weight I lose. The Sharkworks stuff, just for reference, tips, bolts, and it was 10 pounds. So we'll see. Tips and everything was 15 pounds with the FED center section. Sorry. So 15, 15, 30, 45 pounds is how much side mufflers the whole combo weighs. Right? Yeah, 15, 15. So, you know, right around 45 and a half, 45 to 45 and a half pounds. So we're going to save some weight, I would think. I know when we do just the center. So there's the headers. I'm eventually going to change the headers. I just want to make sure I don't have any warranty issues. You know, I don't think Porsche is going to give me a hard time over having having an aftermarket exhaust. They'll just tell me to put it back on if I had a warranty issue. I mean, what are the chances your exhaust is not going to mess up your motor? I do have to remove these side pieces here. All right, cool. So let's start getting this done. All right, guys, just in wrapping up, Just wanted to point a couple of quick things out to you. There are vacuum lines here that are for the vacuum line is for the valve, so I have that plugged with a screw. And then actually, there's not really anywhere to tie this thing to. I guess I could tie it over here to this wire, but what I did, there's a bracket that goes right here for the side muffler. So I just removed that bracket, and then I just sort of pressure fit the valve into this bolt here, these Torx bolt. They did the same thing on the other side. So now we're ready to go. I'm actually going to put the side pieces back on. I actually do think I'm going to have to order another one of these because they kind of get stripped out. So I'm going to order another pair of those just to be safe, to have it laying around. Not a bad idea if I'm going to be changing exhausts all the time. Hopefully this next exhaust is the last one. But I will be switching out the headers and cats at some point. So installing this is pretty simple. I'm going to leave the rear bumper off and wait for my new exhaust should be here in 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. So this is love bug season in Florida anyway, so I'm just going to let the car sit. So that's the end of the project for today anyway. Thanks for watching.